Welcome back, everyone. The All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, has told the candidates of the All Progressives Congress APC for the forthcoming governorship election in Anambra State, Nicholas Okachukwu, that his plans to rig the election will fail. APGA members say the APC candidate lacks the political strength to deliver victory for his party in the states. They say Anambra is APGA land and the people will continue voting for APGA candidates because the party has justified the confidence reposed in it. And just like a backstory, Nicholas Okachukwu is the governorship candidate of APC for the November 8th election, boasted on Saturday in Oka that his party will floor other members in the August 16, 2025 by-election in Anambra State, stressing that the election will determine who is in charge of the political structure of the state. The by-election will take place in Anambra South Senatorial Zone to replace the late Senator Ufayuba, who died last year in October in London, and in Onitsha North 1 State's constituency to replace the late Honorable Justice Azuka, who was abducted and later murdered. So tonight, let's speak with Ejimofor Okpara, who is the National Publicity Secretary APGA, on the party's preparedness ahead of this Saturday's by-election and the governorship election. Thank you very much for joining us, Mr. Okpara. Good to see you again.
Yeah, thank you, Jumoke. My pleasure being here once again.
Thank you very much. It's interesting because you're always in the studio with me, but thank you very much for joining us. We'll get to the governorship election in a minute, but how prepared is APGA for the August 16 by-election? I'm wondering what specific steps has the party taken at the grassroots level to mobilize voters?
Okay, thank you very much and good evening, viewers at home. First of all, like you said, APGA is born prepared, especially for times like this, and for a place we call home, it can only be a matter of dotting the I's and crossing the T's for us. But however, we're not taking anything for granted, because in the last 1 week or so, we've been on active, intense campaign mode, mopping up, mobilizing our members and mopping up all remaining, probably if you like undecided, persons into the fold, having, people who have people who were hitherto on the other side, who are probably undecided, coming in their numbers to endorse and identify with the party. And I can only tell you that this Saturday, August 16th, will be another resounding victory and outing for the All Progressives Grand Alliance. And it's known, it's more like a fait accompli, and we are not taking anything for granted. We're going to go out there and, campaign for every vote, hustle every vote, and ensure that we come out victorious.
Emmanuel Nwachukwu is your candidate, and I see the kind of support Governor Soludo is soliciting for. According to him, he says, Enewe South and Ihiala have not produced a senator in that region before now. Ukpo and Inewe South supported the late Ifeanyi when he was contesting. It says it is now time to support Inewe South. But what is at stake for APGA in this by-election? Is it just about winning the seat, or is it also about maintaining political dominance?
Well, for us, it's about entrenching the APGA hegemony in the state, and we're not taking anything lightly in doing this. It's about reinforcing the fact that Anambra is APGA land. It's about, taking the gospel or the message of APGA, not just within the confines of Anambra State, but, to the borders, outside the borders, the precincts of the state, to the hallowed chambers of the National Assembly. And people are very enthusiastic about this. It is a high-level possibility. And never before have we seen this torrent of support from across the various parts of the zone, the senatorial district, that everyone, including the stakeholders, political, non-political actors, are coming together to support, the candidate of APGA for Saturday, August 16th. We have a candidate that you can describe as a round peg in a round hole, shrewd financial expert, someone who is also a rounded community leader. He used to be the President General of one of the biggest communities in that area, known as Okpo. And he's a man who is paid his dues with regards to, community service. And of course, his chosen career, which of course is a financial sector. So he's eminently qualified. And also he's in the field, canvassing for support, mobilizing the people, and hoping that on Saturday, the votes would count.
And how important is this seat in terms of your overall strategy for the 2025 Anambra governorship election?
Well, you see, this election, Anambra has always been the base of APGA, and it's not unusual for us to have this kind of off cycle, or will I say by-election, in the country, or maybe in Anambra State. We've actually had this kind of experience before, and it turned out to be on the side of APGA. So for your question on the consequence on November 8th, this is an election for us that it's a march towards rounding up all about towards wrapping up the state for APGA, as it were. And it looks for us, the outlook is beyond November 8th. It's actually spreads towards I don't want to use the word I think win, put the APGA flag in the National Assembly, across the state, across the senatorial district, not just the senatorial seats, but also the federal constituencies in the state.
Right.
So what we're trying to say with this outing is to tell the world, to tell Nigerians that indeed Anambra is APGA land.
But because I was going through the political resume of some of those candidates running for this by-election, but I particularly singled out APC candidates, I mean, just side by side with your own candidates. APC candidates, that's Mazuka Okwazo, is a former Anambra State governorship aspirant, former local government chairman, commissioner, secretary general of Southeast Development Initiative. Your party has Emmanuel Nwachukwu. What makes this person the right choice?
Yeah, now let me tell you, people are very distinct and unique in the way in a leadership selection process. Like I told you, Nwachukwu has a resume that is unassailable. His touch with the grassroots, his touch with the people, as a former president general of a town as big as Opo, is something you cannot just wish away. And people look beyond the individual and also focus, more on the platform of the person. And like I said, the fact that Nwachukwu is on the platform of APGA is an added advantage, a massive advantage, for him, because I've come to your station before and I've said it, that APC does not exist in Anambra State. Anyone who is coming to tell you that APC is this, they don't have the structures. They don't have what it takes to deliver even a councillorship seat in the state. They don't have as much as a councillor in the state as it were. Anambra State will have elected local government executives. Does APC have even one seat in the council? They don't. So how do they intend to make this happen overnight? So we're just looking at them. Of course, it's an election. Everybody's entitled to come throw in their hat if they feel they are qualified to do so. But it's about the party that is on ground. It's about the party that is in tune and in contact, in constant touch with the people. And that party is APGA. So I without sounding immodest, I believe that anyone who is projected on the platform of APGA, as it were today in Anambra State, would definitely win the election. With much respect and regard to Mr. Okwosa. But I can tell you that he himself knows that he is on a ship that is not going to sail him to harbor. He knows that for sure.
Your party is on ground, Mr. Okpara, but insecurity is still a huge challenge, and I think huge is even maybe inconsiderate. What is Governor Soludo doing to keep every resident of Anambra safe?
Now, when people say insecurity and want to single out Anambra, in the entire spectrum of insecurity,
because you're talking about Anambra State, Mr. Okpara.
No, of course, and I'll tell you that, see, a lot is being done. Today, Anambra has set the pace with regards to, internalizing and using community-driven approach towards tackling the question of insecurity, in the Southeast. I came to your studio some time ago and I told you about, and it's everywhere in the media, about the Homeland Security Law that has been passed in February by the Anambra State Assembly, and that has given rise to a new security apparatus, homegrown security apparatus known as, Agune Chamber. And if you look at the success rate upon the establishment of that Agune chamber, Anambra went on for a period of over 4 or 5 months, without any gunshot anywhere. And the police reports are there to show it, and other measures have also been stated that the Agune Chamber's security apparatus has been quite very effective. There could be pockets of, slips here and there. And I ask you, is there any crime-free society anywhere? No. But the important thing is that the capacity of law enforcement to nip this crime in the bud is what we're talking about here. And so far, so good. Anambra has not fared badly with regards to crime fighting, with regards to crime prevention, and even the prosecution and arrest of, the criminals who have decided to make the place quite uncomfortable. But we're on their trail, and we'll continue to be on their trail. They are not good. They are not backing down. Neither are we. So the resolve of the law enforcement to go after them is total. And so far, one thing that you must actually give to this new initiative for crime fighting is the renewed desire, the renewed willingness by our people to avail law enforcement credible intelligence. And if you look at the data, much of these troubled areas, we have picked out the troublemakers there. Many of them are facing, they're already facing justice. And if you come down to Anambra and you see for yourself, you realize that there is a whole lot of difference.
And are you not bothered, or how bothered are you that your opponents may want to use this huge challenge to demarket your candidates and ahead of this election and also ahead of the governorship election? I mean, the conversation out there is that if you cannot keep the people of Anambra State, why should we vote for the same party again and again?
The truth is that anyone who politicizes the issue of insecurity is himself a prime suspect. Because when somebody is going out and the only indices or the only ground upon which you are entrenching or you are going about your campaign is about an insecurity that everyone is putting heads together to tackle, then there's something fundamentally wrong with your campaign. There's something fundamentally wrong with your candidature. It's more or less like the one who is trying to deliberately orchestrate crime just to use it as a pretext to gain power. Yeah, so people are wise. They know these things. They know these people, and we know ourselves. We know who is who. So it's not a valid foundation or a substantial reason for any opponent or opposition party to want to adduce or to want to sell to the people to say, okay, vote for me and I will do this, I will do that, I will end this, I will end that. No, the people are now beginning to ask the very important questions. They're beginning to ask the very critical questions. And the most important question in this whole process is, how far has Anambra fared under the APGA, APGA leadership or APGA government in the last 22 years? How far has Anambra fared? And if you look at how far Anambra has fared, the result is there.
All right.
You look at the result in health, look at the achievements in infrastructure, look at the achievements in education, look at the achievements in the environment.
All right,
so these are the tangible issues that will form the basis for decision making, beyond the rhetoric of insecurity.
All right, so let's go on a break, and when we return, we'll discuss all of these achievements. Please stay with us, everyone. Welcome back to Politics Tonight, everyone. Tonight we're discussing APGA's preparedness ahead of Saturday's by-election and November 8th governorship election. And I've been speaking with Ejimofor Okpara, who is the National Publicity Secretary of the party. Thank you very much for staying with us on the program, Mr. Okpara. So what's your party's biggest concern going into this election, especially this Saturday's election? Is the logistics, security of voter turnout? Have you had discussions with INEC or security agencies about potential threats or hotspots?
Okay. INEC has just concluded the CVR, just a few weeks ago, and something very instructive, came out of their report after the exercise was conducted. it's very important for me to actually mention here that INEC, the agency in charge of conducting, elections and regulating the activities of political parties, have come out to say that the exercise was successfully carried out in the 326 wards of the state. This tells you that every part of the state was captured in terms of the continuous voter register, and the numbers quite significant. Over 160,000 persons have been enrolled into the voting population of the state. So INEC on their own have shown with what we saw with the CVR, beyond the glitches that were also, taken care of, INEC has shown some level of readiness in preparation for the August 16, election, by-election rather. And we have very implicit confidence in their processes. We have implicit confidence in the fact that they will do as they have said they would do. There have been a series of stakeholder meetings going on, between the Independent National Electoral Commission and the various political parties that are participating in the process. And so far, so good. That's what I would say. We, like I said, we believe that they would do as they have said, because people are ready to vote, and not just vote, but stay and ensure that their votes count. And that's exactly what we ask as a party. That just give us a free, fair, and credible process. The troublemakers, of course, will be taken care of by the security agencies. And of course, I also want to use this medium to also, call on the security agencies to be on their A game, because, of course, with every troublemakers, certainly there are people who want to foment troubles, and we know them. They are talking. That's what they thrive in. They thrive in fomenting, crisis. That's the only way they believe they can succeed. But in Anambra, we are ready for them. Across the people are ready, and they are in high spirit to carry out their civic responsibility. And I believe that if INEC does as they have said, then we have no problem.
And ironically, Mr. Opara, there have been allegations in past elections of vote buying and intimidation by the ruling party, which is APGA. What exactly has taken center stage since campaign started? Are all parties on the same page to ensure a credible and clean campaign ahead of this Saturday's election?
For vote buying, I'm grossly unaware of that. I don't know what you mean by vote buying for APGA. There's no such thing as vote buying for APGA. As a matter of fact, as of today, there is still a locus classicus of the people resisting vote buying that is still very much is a record that no other election in Nigeria has broken. And that is the case of the Ukun woman. If you check your Google or check your records, you will see it. That in the last election, the APC was roundly rejected by an Ukun woman who refused to collect money to sell her vote. So when we talk about vote buying, we know the party in the state that want to buy the votes, not APGA. APGA is a party that is more or less like the religion of the state. So people in Anambra there's this vested interest about APGA because it's a party that connects to their very being. It connects to the core of their being. It's a party that a child born today in Anambra understands that Anambra is APGA and APGA is Anambra. So we don't need to go to preach to the converted, So we have our soldiers on ground. We have our members on ground across all the wards, across all the polling units. So these are people who...
So if you're not planning to preach to the converted, what about those who are just about to be converted? How is the party ensuring that its supporters come out to vote, especially considering that by-elections often suffer from low turnout? Are there new mobilization strategies being tested, particularly in rural and youth-dominated areas?
Absolutely. Like I told in my opening, we're not taking anything for granted. We've been on rally in the last 4 or 5 days. The other day, we were at Nnewi North. From Nnewi North, we went to Agwata. We've been to Orumba North and we've been to Orumba South. This is us connecting or reconnecting with the people, assuring them and mobilizing them to come out and vote. So we are not taking anything for granted. We are doing our utmost, doing all that we should do within the precincts of the law to ensure that our people have a seamless voting experience. And much as we are doing that, we would not also allow ourselves to be intimidated or allow ourselves, to be, cowed by anyone. So, so far, we are doing what we should do in terms of mobilization. It's not something I would have to come and say on air about our strategic ways or the things we're doing strategically to
Should
mobilize our members.
APGA lose this seat?
It's not for.
I get that. So should APGA lose this seat, what would that signal about the party's strength ahead of the 2025 governorship race? Is this a by-election?
You want my sincere response to this?
A referendum on APGA's performance in Anambra State? Yes.
You want my sincere response on this?
Please go ahead.
You have just asked an unlikely. This is an unlikely outcome.
Okay.
It's an unlikely outcome. So it's for me, it's APGA or APGA.
Okay.
Right. So because the feelers are strong, the evidence is clear. So it's not what are they going? Like I told you that the APC does not exist in Anambra State. At best, it's just an appendage of APGA. It's more like a department in APGA in Anambra State. So anyone who is coming to tell you otherwise should produce to you the result of his performance as an APC member in previous elections. He should provide it. I'm telling you that the APC candidate would struggle to even win his polling unit in this election.
All right. I like that confidence. I really admire that confidence.
It's not bravado.
I'm sure we'll have
it's a confidence rooted in evidence.
Right. I'm sure we'll have this conversation again after this by-election. Thank you so much for speaking with us tonight. Ejimofor Okwara is APGA's National Publicity Secretary. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Jumoke, for having me.
Thank you. All right. Let's take a break and I'll be right back. Please stay with us.